Welcome to my podcast. I don't know if I will get the hang of saying that or simply get used to it, but I can't wait for a time when I do. You're very welcome. My name is Esther Kalenzi, and I have recently started my podcast journey. So thank you for joining me. I'm glad that you're here. I would like to tell you a little bit about why I'm doing this. So I run a homegrown non-profit organization. I've done this for over a decade. There's going to be more on that later. And along the way, from the work that I do, the people that I meet, and generally my journey, I have had lots of experiences that I would like to share. I would like this platform to be a place where I can share stories, where we can learn, where we can learn from our mistake, get lessons. I genuinely believe that you should not experience something by yourself if you can learn from someone else's experience. So we shouldn't just fall into ditches if there are people who have gone before us. And while I'm going to start with you seeing and listening to a lot of me, I really look forward to a time when I'll be sharing other people's stories. And I know that time will come, but in the meantime, let's journey together. Let's share, let's laugh, and get to do this life thing as a community. So you remember that organization that I told you about? This is a very, very special season for us. We are turning 12. Can you imagine? 12 years old. It still feels extremely surreal for me. And to say that it has not been an easy feat would be a complete understatement. And this season is really special because it reminds me of everything that we have put into making this happen. And I would just like to dedicate this episode to the people who have helped us get here, to the people who have held my hand, to the people that I have never met. They're strangers, they're people whom I've not met, they're friends, there's family. There's so many people who have been part of the journey, and I will never be able to thank them. I feel like thank you is so tiny, it feels like nothing. But thank you is really what I have to give, and a whole lot of prayers for you to prosper wherever you are. So I'm really hoping that this episode will reach them. And if you're one of them and you're listening, I want to say a special thank you. If I could, I would list every name. I don't know in alphabetical order, but because I'm not able to do that, consider this your very special thank you. So let's take it back to 2012, the year when we actually began. The organization is called 40 Days Over 40 Smiles Foundation, and the 40 days represent the Lent period, which we are just about to conclude, depending on when you listen to this. And what happened was I started a Facebook page during Lent season in 2012, and the idea was for me to add friends and their friends for us to come together and collect foodstuffs, collect toys, collect books, blankets, get groceries for underprivileged children who at that time I didn't even know, but I knew they existed because they do exist. And I was so blessed by the people that supported that entire journey. It ran for 40 days, just like the name suggests. And the over 40 smiles was because I was hoping that we would be able to at least make 40 children and a little more smile. In the end, what happened was there were over 100 children from 2 different children's homes. We ate, we laughed, we danced, and we had a good time. And after that experience, I felt like I was called to do this. I felt like I had found my purpose. I felt like just doing one Easter was not enough. Although the original plan was maybe to do that annually, maybe do it on Easter and Christmas. And what happened was I thought about it and knew that for the rest of the days, there is still need. For the 365 days, there is still need. And I wanted to be part of that difference. And I would like to I would just like to thank the people who believed from the beginning. I had friends from all the stages of my life, from primary school up till where I was. And they showed up, my family showed up. And even when I decided to quit my job a year later to do this full time. So many people didn't understand it. And of course, out of love, tried to talk me out of it or ask me questions which I didn't have the answers to because it was something insane. Even I recognized that it was insane, but I just felt like I was driven to it, and I felt like it's something that I needed to do. So for them to then just support me, for lack of a better word, blindly, and believe that what I was doing was something that was worth doing, really made all the difference. And I don't think that I would be here. I don't think that we would be here without them. And it's very important to have those first believers, those people who will walk with you. And the thing is, they don't have to be the ones to walk with you the entire journey, as I have seen. There's so many friends who are there for the part of the journey. Then other people came for the next phase. Other people are still coming in, and 10 years from now, there will be a different lot. But each person plays a role, and I would like to acknowledge the role that was played. I remember that we used to have something we called breakfast with the kids, which we would actually have breakfast at one of the homes. And I have friends who would wake up really early to go and just make the porridge and would buy the snacks that would eat. And it just felt like being a child again. And some people actually say they came because of the porridge. That's what brought them into 4040, and they ended up staying for the cause or for the friendships and for the different things. So there are people who played a pivotal role, but in the moment you're just like, I'm cooking porridge, but that's a meal, that's community, that's actually bringing people together. And we used to have lots of fundraisers, we still do, but at the time we had a fundraiser called Hoops for Grace, which was a basketball fundraiser, and people would pay, actual trained professional basketball players would pay to play. Even just people who loved the game would come and show up. I remember one time we decided we were going to have a drive-in movie because it's not something that we had experienced, and we literally made a screen from scratch. It was so big that after that we didn't know how to move it. It was so heavy and required a special car to take it from that place. But such was the passion and the just recklessness that helped us to come up with things that ordinarily we would not have. There's also another event that was called Croak and Rhyme. Originally, like you hear croak, like a frog croaks. That was the idea, that even if you don't have a good song, a good voice, you can just come and sing your heart out or rhyme like poets do. And the very first one that we had, we really didn't have high hopes for it. Even when we went to the venue to book, they gave us a smaller part of the venue because they thought the numbers wouldn't add up. In the end, we were struggling to find space. The chairs ran out. Lots of people stood up. It ended up being such an amazing success. And when I look back at that, it was the beginning of so many other successful events. Because Croak and Rhyme itself later grew for us to get artists who came to perform. And all of these artists came and performed at absolutely no cost. They didn't ask questions, they just understood the cause. We would have sessions where they would come for practice, come early for sound check, and they really treated this like it was as important as we wanted them to treat it, and it's something that we don't take for granted. I remember at the time, people would just throw ideas in a meeting. There was no bad idea. It could be crazy, it could be whatever you thought. And this one meeting, I don't know if you're familiar, depending on where you're listening from, with the musician Maddox Sematimba. He had been off the scene for a while. He had been out of Uganda, and we knew that he was in the country at that time, but he was not performing. So when we're throwing out names, we just said, what about Maddox Sematimba? And it just sounded like the most ridiculous thing. How are we even going to start? No one at that table knew who he was. Sorry, we knew who he was, but we didn't know how to reach him. And we decided to start from that. Who knows someone who knows someone who knows another person who can actually get us to him? And it was really funny because in the end, it ended up being a person who I won't mention names, but has been a presidential candidate before, who was the one who connected us to Maddox. And I remember even the very first show, because he performed at 2 shows, but on the very first show, I have a friend who kept telling me he's not going to come. I'm like, we've been talking to him. He's like, he will not show up. I don't believe that you could bring Maddox here. I'm like, but he's on all the artwork. Do you think we are lying to you? And till he actually showed up on stage, and that friend of mine went wild because he did not believe that it's something that was going to happen. And it blew our minds as well. He later did another show. But all the artists that would come, it's not because they didn't even know who we were. Many of us didn't actually know who they were as well. We just knew someone who knew someone that could talk to them. And through the years, it has been that sort of support. There are people who will just mention your name in rooms that you're not able to get into. There are people who will go out of their way to support you. I remember the very first construction we did was for a dormitory called at a school called Happy Times in Luwero. And we ran a campaign called Buy a Brick, where people would contribute the equivalent of a brick. We were saying it was 500 shillings at that time. That's what we valued it at. So it could be 100, 1,000, whatever number. And there's a child who actually saved his pocket money, and at the end of the term, he brought it to us, his coins and everything, because he wanted to contribute to it. And we were able to raise the money because of so much kindness. I remember at the time Twitter was quite popular, had just gotten a bit popular, so we ran the hashtag Buy a Brick, and we got 10 million shillings in 8 days, which was so huge. The budget for the dormitory was 28 million, but we had no idea that we could actually pull it off. But when we got that 10 million, we're like, surely there's nothing that can fail. And indeed, we were able to raise it and put up a dormitory that can house up to 210 children. And who are we really? Who are we to dare like that and try and create something out of nothing? But we did that because of the support of people. Shortly after, we built another one in Bombo. And then we shot our shot at the NSSF Torch Awards, which they used to run, and they would reward someone from each region in Uganda. So you'd send a proposal, and if your proposal won, they funded what you were trying to run. And I remember the climax of that ceremony was at Serena Hotel, and they gave me an invite to attend, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to go alone, because I didn't work on this alone. So I had to find a way to get invitations for the rest of my team. I said, we don't need to eat or drink, I just need to have my team there. And what happened was, we work primarily in Kampala, so they go to the central region, and then they mentioned another organization as a winner, and we were so crestfallen. We were like, how do we disappear? I actually joked and told them we can go around the back and just disappear, even if we've not yet had a meal. It's fine, we shall grab a Rolex on the way home. What I didn't know is that we had been prepared for even greater things, because although we had missed the award for the central region, we had actually won the award for the entire country. So we had won the main award of the night, which came with a cash prize of 20 million shillings. And it was such an exciting time. When I look back, I'm just reminded of the value of patience, because many times an overnight success is someone who has worked hard for 10 years or 20 years. We're able to put up that first community library, and it sparked the dream for us to put up libraries across the country, or just to provide books and resources for children across the country, which dream came true years later. In fact, just last year in 2023, on 1st July, we were able to set up a resource center in Kibuli, which has books, computers, provides teacher training, provides literacy classes, ICT training for children in and out of school, as well as teachers. And all of that has been because of the constant goodness and belief of people in the work that we do. So when I look back, I feel like one of my greatest superpowers has been the people that I'm surrounded with, who there's nothing so much that you can ask. You ask, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but because of their presence and their kindness and their commitment. My goodness, the volunteers who have been part of the journey for all of the years. Thank you so much. The ones who are there from inception, the ones who came at the beginning, the ones who joined along the way. I've found in them such an amazing group of people whom I've learned from, whom I've been able to cultivate relationships with, and each time I see them win, I feel like I've won 10 times over because of everything that they have done for us. The partners, the supporters, who donate time, who donate resources, who root for us in ways that we could not have imagined. There's lots of emotions that I feel right now because when I look back, I never ever saw it coming to this. I don't think anyone did. In fact, there are people who I meet and they're like, just still do that 40-40 thing, because it felt like just, it was a phase and it passed. But the phase ended up being my real life, my amazing life that I have built. And I'm proud of the people I've built it with. I'm proud and grateful for my family that has supported, my friends, and the people who have made this happen. And when I think about the people who have contributed, I would just like to take a moment to celebrate a human being who was part of our story, an amazing human being that was part of our story. That passed away last month in February. His name is Ainebiona Amri. He was a volunteer at 40-40 who showed up with a lot of light and a lot of passion. And even after he moved away from the daily activities, he continued to send people our way and continued to support us. And actually, up to the time of his death, he was a contributor who made a monthly contribution to the foundation's work, and he always cheered us on. And I hope that we showed him how much we appreciated him while he was with us. I hope that his loved ones know what an impact he created to us and to the work that we do. And I do pray that he continues resting in peace. I don't think I can go on after this, but this has just been all about gratitude from the bottom of my heart, bottom, top, middle, everywhere. As you celebrate Easter with your families, or if you don't celebrate Easter, I hope that this season comes with love, the understanding of sacrifice, provision, and just taking the spirit with which this season comes in. May you have gratitude for what you already have as you continue to work towards the things that you look for. It's been 12 amazing years of 40-40. And I truly, truly look forward to the rest that are yet to come. Thank you for listening and thank you for supporting.